The Holocaust, a word that echoes with the weight of unimaginable horror. It marks a period in history when humanity plunged into an abyss of hatred and barbarity. From 1933 to 1945, Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, orchestrated the systematic persecution and murder of 6 million Jews. This genocide, fueled by a poisonous ideology of anti-Semitism, remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. The Holocaust was not a sudden eruption of violence. It was the culmination of years of carefully orchestrated discrimination, propaganda, and dehumanization. The Nazis, driven by their twisted ideology, branded Jews as an inferior race, a threat to the purity of the German people. This insidious campaign of hate paved the way for the horrors that would follow. The world watched in horror as the Nazi regime tightened its grip on Germany, stripping Jews of their rights, their dignity, and ultimately, their lives. The Holocaust stands as a chilling testament to the destructive power of unchecked hate and the urgent need to confront prejudice in all its forms. Genocide, a word that chills the soul, a term coined to describe the attempted annihilation of an entire people. The Holocaust, the epitome of this horrific crime, targeted Jews for complete eradication based solely on their religion and heritage. This systematic extermination was meticulously planned and ruthlessly executed by the Nazi regime. The Nazis used a vast network of concentration camps, forced labor camps, and death camps to carry out their murderous plan. Auschwitz, Birkenau, Treblinka, Sobibor. These names have become synonymous with the horrors of the Holocaust. Millions of innocent men, women, and children were brutally murdered in gas chambers, shot, or worked to death in these camps. The cruelty inflicted upon the victims defied comprehension. Families were torn apart, their lives extinguished with terrifying efficiency. The Holocaust was not just about numbers. It was about the destruction of individuals, each with their own story, their own hopes, their own dreams. The horrors of the Holocaust unfolded against the backdrop of World War II, a conflict that would claim the lives of millions more. The war provided cover for the Nazis to escalate their persecution of Jews, hiding their crimes amidst the chaos and destruction. But the world was not entirely blind to the atrocities taking place. News of the Nazis' systematic murder of Jews reached Allied nations, but the full extent of the horrors remained unknown until the liberation of the camps. The images that emerged from these liberated camps shocked the world to its core. Emaciated survivors, mass graves, and the chilling remnants of the gas chambers bore silent witness to the unimaginable suffering inflicted by the Nazi regime. The Holocaust left an indelible scar on the conscience of humanity, a stark reminder of the depths of depravity to which hatred and intolerance can lead. It is a story that must be told and retold, lest we forget the victims, the survivors, and the lessons learned from this dark chapter in human history. To understand the Holocaust, we must first delve into the rise of Adolf Hitler, the architect of this genocide. Born in Austria in 1889, Hitler dreamed of becoming an artist but was rejected by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. He was drawn to nationalist and anti-Semitic movements. Hitler's hatred for Jews was deeply ingrained, fueled by pervasive anti-Semitism in Austrian society. He blamed Jews for Germany's defeat in World War I and the economic woes that followed. This ideology drove his genocidal campaign. In 1913, Hitler moved to Munich, where he found a receptive audience. He served in the German army during World War I, solidifying his belief in German supremacy. After the war, he joined the German Workers' Party, a group sharing his nationalist and anti-Semitic views. Hitler rose through the ranks, captivating audiences with his charisma and oratory skills. He renamed it the Nazi Party, transforming it into a formidable political force. His message of national revival and racial purity resonated with a humiliated and economically struggling Germany. Anti-Semitism was not a new phenomenon in Europe. It had plagued the continent for centuries, often manifesting as religious prejudice and social discrimination. Jews were frequently portrayed as outsiders, blamed for economic crises, social ills, and even natural disasters. This deep-seated hatred created fertile ground for Hitler's poisonous ideology to take root. Hitler and the Nazis skillfully exploited existing anti-Semitic sentiments, weaving them into their broader message of national renewal. They scapegoated Jews for Germany's economic woes, blaming them for the hyperinflation and unemployment that gripped the nation in the aftermath of World War I. The Nazis disseminated their hateful propaganda through rallies, newspapers, and radio broadcasts, relentlessly targeting Jews as a threat to German purity and national unity. They portrayed Jews as a parasitic race, intent on undermining the German people and controlling the world from the shadows. This relentless campaign of hate and fear-mongering effectively dehumanized Jews in the eyes of many Germans, paving the way for the atrocities that would follow. Hitler's rise to power was aided by a confluence of factors, including the political instability of the Weimar Republic, the economic crisis that gripped Germany, and the deep-seated social divisions that plagued the nation. The Nazis capitalized on these vulnerabilities, presenting themselves as the saviors of the German people and promising to restore Germany to its former glory. Propaganda was crucial in the Nazis' rise to power and their campaign to dehumanize Jews. Joseph Goebbels masterfully manipulated public opinion, using every medium to spread the Nazi message. Newspapers, radio, films, and posters disseminated Nazi ideology and demonized Jews. The Nazis exploited imagery and language to create fear and hatred. Jews were portrayed as vermin, rats, and parasites, associated with disease and moral decay. This dehumanization made it easier for Germans to accept or ignore atrocities. The Nazis targeted children, indoctrinating them into the Nazi worldview from a young age. With each passing year, the Nazi grip on Germany tightened. The Weimar Republic, already weak and fractured, crumbled under the weight of Nazi pressure. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, marking a turning point in German history. Within a short span of time, Germany was transformed into a totalitarian state, with the Nazi Party exerting complete control over all aspects of society. The Nazis moved swiftly to consolidate their power, eliminating opposition and silencing dissent. Political opponents were imprisoned or murdered, and freedom of speech and the press were abolished. The Nazis established a vast surveillance network, using the Gestapo, the secret police, to terrorize the population and crush any hint of resistance. The lives of Jews in Germany changed dramatically under Nazi rule. Discriminatory laws were enacted, stripping Jews of their citizenship, their livelihoods, and their fundamental rights. The Nuremberg Laws, passed in 1935, were particularly significant, codifying racial discrimination and defining Jews as a separate race based solely on their ancestry. These laws prohibited marriage and sexual relations between Jews and non-Jews, and they stripped Jews of their German citizenship, rendering them stateless and vulnerable. The noose tightened around Germany's Jews with alarming speed. The Nuremberg Laws, enacted in 1935, were just the beginning. These laws stripped Jews of their citizenship, their rights, their very identity. They were no longer Germans in the eyes of the Nazi state. They were outsiders, a threat to the so-called purity of the German race. Synagogues were burned, businesses vandalized, homes ransacked. Jewish families were terrorized, driven from their homes, their livelihoods destroyed. The night of November 9th to 10th, 1938, would forever be etched in history as Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. Across Germany and Austria, synagogues were torched, their sacred spaces desecrated. Jewish businesses were looted and destroyed, their windows smashed, leaving streets covered in shards of glass. Jewish homes were invaded, families terrorized, their belongings stolen or destroyed. Kristallnacht marked a turning point, a terrifying escalation of the Nazis' persecution of Jews. It was a night of terror, a glimpse into the darkness that was to come. The world watched, some in disbelief, others in apathy, as the Nazi regime tightened its grip on Germany, plunging it further into the abyss of hatred and violence. With the outbreak of World War II in 1939, the Nazis' reign of terror extended far beyond Germany's borders. As German armies marched across Europe, they brought with them their poisonous ideology of anti-Semitism. Jews in occupied territories faced a similar fate to their German counterparts: persecution, imprisonment, and ultimately, extermination. Ghettos, overcrowded and squalid, were established in cities across Eastern Europe, designed to segregate and control the Jewish population. Millions of Jews were herded into these urban prisons, deprived of food, medicine, and basic necessities. Life in the ghettos was a daily struggle for survival, marked by hunger, disease, and the constant threat of deportation. The Nazis, obsessed with their twisted vision of racial purity, implemented their final solution: the systematic extermination of the Jewish people. Death camps with their gas chambers and crematoria were established in occupied Poland, designed for mass murder on an industrial scale. Trains packed with Jewish men, women, and children arrived daily at these camps, their human cargo destined for extermination. The sheer scale of the killing defied comprehension, a testament to the depths of human depravity to which hatred and indifference can lead. The Nazis' machinery of death was ruthlessly efficient, a testament to their cold, bureaucratic approach to genocide. Upon arrival at the death camps, families were torn apart, stripped of their belongings, their identities erased. Men, women, and children were separated, their fates sealed by the whim of an SS officer. Those deemed fit for labor were sent to work in factories or on construction projects, their bodies slowly broken by starvation and exhaustion. The majority, however, were sent directly to the gas chambers, their deaths disguised as showers or disinfections. The gas chambers, disguised as showers or disinfection facilities, were designed to kill hundreds, sometimes thousands of people at a time. Zyklon B pellets, a highly lethal pesticide, were dropped through vents in the ceiling, releasing poisonous gas that quickly filled the chamber, suffocating those trapped inside. The bodies were then transported to the crematoria, the ovens burning day and night in a gruesome attempt to erase the evidence of the Nazis' crimes. The air was thick with the stench of burning flesh, a constant reminder of the horrors being perpetrated within the camps. Section 4. Resistance and Resilience. Even in the darkest depths of the Holocaust, amidst unimaginable suffering, acts of resistance and resilience flickered like embers in the ashes. Within the ghettos and camps, individuals and groups rose up against their oppressors, clinging to their humanity, their dignity, and their will to live. Armed resistance, though often futile against the overwhelming might of the Nazi regime, erupted in ghettos across Eastern Europe. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, a desperate but courageous act of defiance, saw Jewish fighters hold off the Nazi war machine for weeks. Acts of cultural resistance, preserving Jewish traditions and identity, provided a glimmer of hope in the midst of despair. Secret schools were established, religious services held in secret, and stories, songs, and poems passed down from generation to generation, ensuring that Jewish culture would not be extinguished. Even in the face of unimaginable cruelty, the human spirit endured. These acts of resistance and resilience, however small, serve as a testament to the enduring power of hope, courage, and the human will to survive. Section 5. Liberation and its aftermath. As the tide of World War II turned and Allied forces advanced across Europe, the horrors of the Holocaust were slowly revealed to the world. The liberation of the death camps, beginning with Majdanek in July 1944, exposed the true extent of the Nazis' crimes, shocking the world with their barbarity. Images of emaciated survivors, piles of corpses, and the chilling remnants of the gas chambers bore silent witness to the horrors that had transpired. The world, once seemingly indifferent to the plight of the Jews, was forced to confront the consequences of its silence. The survivors, physically and emotionally scarred, emerged from the camps into a world that no longer made sense. Many had lost everything: their families, their homes, their communities. They faced an uncertain future, grappling with the trauma of their experiences and the daunting task of rebuilding their lives. The Holocaust left an indelible scar on the conscience of humanity, a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred and the urgent need to combat anti-Semitism and all forms of intolerance. It is a story that must be told and retold, lest we forget the victims, the survivors, and the lessons learned from this dark chapter in human history. Section 6. Justice and Accountability. The Nuremberg trials, held from 1945 to 1949, marked a watershed moment in international law, holding Nazi leaders accountable for their actions. The trials established the concept of crimes against humanity, recognizing that acts like genocide are offenses against all of humanity. Several high-ranking Nazi officials were sentenced to death, while others received lengthy prison sentences. The pursuit of justice for the victims and survivors continues to this day, with efforts to track down and prosecute Nazi war criminals.
The echoes of laughter in Sarah's childhood home were abruptly silenced. Sarah's world, once filled with the warmth of family, crumbled under the weight of hatred and persecution. She was just 7 when the Nazis marched into her small Polish town, stealing her innocence. Yellow stars marked Sarah and her family as different, as enemies of the state. Fear became a constant companion, a knot of dread tightening in Sarah's stomach. One evening, Nazi soldiers descended upon their home, herding Sarah's family onto trucks, their fate uncertain. The journey to the unknown was long and arduous. Crammed into the cattle car, Sarah clung to her parents for warmth and comfort. The train screeched to a halt, revealing a scene of chaos and confusion. Amidst the dehumanizing brutality of the camp, Sarah found solace in the kindness of strangers. These small acts of defiance and humanity helped to sustain Sarah, fueling her will to survive. Time lost all meaning within the confines of Auschwitz. Each day was a struggle for survival amidst the omnipresent shadow of death. Sarah bore witness to the horrors inflicted upon her people, clinging to the memory of her parents. She vowed to survive, not just for herself, but for the memory of those who had been lost. Amidst the darkness, she discovered an inner strength and resilience. The Holocaust stands as a dark chapter in human history, yet stories of resilience and the enduring power of the human spirit shine through. Holocaust survivors remind us that even in the darkest times, hope endures. They inspire us to confront hatred and build a world where such atrocities are never repeated. By remembering the Holocaust, we honor the memories of those who perished and carry their stories as a call to action.
The Holocaust left an indelible mark on the world, altering the course of history. The formation of the United Nations in 1945 reflected a collective desire to prevent future atrocities. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights affirmed the inherent dignity and equality of all human beings. The Holocaust exposed the fragility of civilization and the ease with which hatred can flourish. The world was left to grapple with how to prevent such atrocities from happening again.
The Holocaust cast a long shadow over the lives of survivors. The trauma manifested in nightmares, flashbacks, anxiety, and depression. Many survivors found it difficult to talk about their experiences. The impact extended beyond the survivors, affecting their families and communities. The Holocaust left a collective trauma that continues to shape Jewish identity and memory.
In the aftermath of the Holocaust, the world vowed never again. Yet Holocaust denial emerged, fueled by anti-Semitism and historical revisionism. Denial seeks to rewrite history by denying the systematic nature of the Nazi genocide. Combating Holocaust denial requires education, legislation, and public awareness campaigns. It is essential to teach future generations about the Holocaust to prevent denial and distortion. The Holocaust, a horrific manifestation of anti-Semitism, stands as a stark reminder of unchecked hatred. Yet anti-Semitism persists in the 21st century, adapting to new contexts. There has been a disturbing rise in anti-Semitic incidents worldwide, from harassment to murder. Social media has become a breeding ground for anti-Semitic hate speech and conspiracy theories. Education is crucial in challenging stereotypes and promoting tolerance.
The Holocaust, a uniquely horrific event, holds universal lessons for humanity, reminding us of the fragility of civilization and the importance of safeguarding human rights and fundamental freedoms. It is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred, prejudice, and indifference, and the importance of speaking out against injustice and oppression. The Holocaust teaches us that the path to genocide is paved with incremental steps, beginning with hateful rhetoric, discrimination, and the dehumanization of the other. It shows us that silence in the face of injustice is not neutrality, but complicity. It reminds us that ordinary people, caught up in the tide of hatred and fear, can become perpetrators of extraordinary evil. The Holocaust also underscores the importance of remembering and learning from history. By studying the past, by understanding the factors that led to the Holocaust, we can better recognize the warning signs of genocide and mass atrocities in the present day. We can learn to identify and challenge prejudice, discrimination, and hate speech before they escalate into violence. The lessons of the Holocaust are not confined to the past. They are relevant to contemporary issues such as racism, xenophobia, homophobia, and other forms of intolerance and discrimination. By understanding the root causes of hatred and prejudice, we can work to create a more just and equitable world for all. The legacy of the Holocaust is marked by both tragedy and resilience. It is a story of unimaginable loss, but also of courage and the enduring power of the human spirit. Remembering the Holocaust is about honoring the past and shaping the future, recognizing the ongoing threat of anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred, promoting tolerance, understanding, and respect for diversity. Education ensures the lessons of the Holocaust are passed down. Survivors teach us about hope, perseverance, and compassion.
The Holocaust, a chasm of horror in human history, continues to shape worldviews today. It serves as a chilling reminder of the consequences of unchecked hatred and the fragility of peace. The echoes of never again resonate through international law and human rights discourse. The United Nations, formed after World War II, aims to prevent future genocides. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948, protects the dignity of every individual. The Nuremberg trials established the concept of crimes against humanity. These trials set a precedent for international tribunals like the International Criminal Court. The echoes of the past remind us to combat all forms of discrimination.
While the Holocaust serves as a stark warning from the past, the present day is marked by unsettling echoes of intolerance and hate. Anti-Semitism, far from being a relic of a bygone era, continues to rear its ugly head in various forms across the globe. From vandalism of synagogues and Jewish cemeteries to online hate speech and conspiracy theories, the threat to Jewish communities remains a sobering reality. The rise of nationalist ideologies, often intertwined with xenophobia and anti-immigrant sentiments, has provided fertile ground for anti-Semitism to grow. Economic anxieties, social tensions, and political polarization are often exploited to scapegoat minorities, including Jews, fueling a climate of fear and distrust. The internet, while connecting the world in unprecedented ways, has also become a breeding ground for hate speech and the spread of misinformation. Anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories, once relegated to the fringes of society, now proliferate online, reaching a global audience and normalizing prejudice to a new generation. Combating anti-Semitism in the present day requires a multifaceted approach. Education remains paramount, equipping individuals with the knowledge to identify and challenge prejudice, discrimination, and hate speech. Law enforcement agencies must be adequately trained to recognize and respond to hate crimes, while social media platforms have a responsibility to combat the spread of hateful content.
As time marches on and living memory fades, the responsibility to remember and learn from the Holocaust falls upon future generations. Museums, memorials, and educational institutions play a crucial role in preserving the memory of the Holocaust. Remembrance is a collective responsibility, a shared commitment to confront the past and build a future free from hate. Each individual has a role to play as a guardian of memory. The legacy of the Holocaust is a call to build a world where the dignity of every human being is respected. The Holocaust stands as a stark reminder of humanity's potential for darkness. 6 million Jews were systematically annihilated by the Nazi regime, fueled by hate and indifference. This tragedy urges us to confront darkness and strive for a future free of such atrocities. The lessons of the Holocaust are a profound call to action for humanity. We must remember the victims, honor the survivors, and ensure never again is a solemn vow. Vigilance against hatred, prejudice, and discrimination is essential. The human capacity for evil is undeniable, but so too is our capacity for good. Amidst horrors, extraordinary acts of courage, compassion, and resilience emerged. Individuals risked their lives, offering kindness and hope in unimaginable darkness. These acts remind us that even in the darkest times, the human spirit can endure and triumph.